89 with Canadian grappling sensation and Kasai Pro champion Dante Leon, Toronto's Gabe Sagman Pro Bantamweight, and Michael Hill, Bushido MMA and Ultimate Fighter veteran. Let's do it. How are you, folks? Welcome to episode 89 here. Fantastic episode sponsored by our friends at BC Kimonos. Check them out. We have no code. They're just good friends that have been supporting East Coast and supporting good people since we started doing events. So check them out online, bckimonos.ca. I apologize for my appearance. I definitely don't look my best as I just went and trained and got my ass kicked, but it felt really good. And yeah. Anyway, let's get right into a show here, folks. We have three fantastic guests. The first guest, I want to bring him on right away. He's a guy, if anybody's been following jiu-jitsu, if anybody knows anything about high-level jiu-jitsu, if anybody knows anything about Canadian jiu-jitsu, if anybody knows anything about the best badass dudes in jiu-jitsu right now, this is one of the guys. Dante Leon, folks. I can't say enough about this guy. He's came and competed for us before. He's ripped it up. He's the 2019 World No-Gi champion. He's the Kasai Pro champion, and I don't think that's going to end anytime soon. And this guy's just getting started. He's been doing it since he was a young kid, and he's just getting into the prime of it. So let's bring him on right away, representing GF team, the man himself, Mr. Dante Leon. How are you, sir?
Man? How are you? Good.
Not too bad, man. Thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. Been a while.
Yeah, it really has. Yeah, we were talking off air there. It's been a long time, and I don't know actually when you came here and competed, but like I said, since then, well, I guess we'll get right into how you kind of got into this. One thing that stands out for me, Dante, is how long you've been committed to this craft of jiu-jitsu and martial arts, and you're one of those guys who's like really done it since a child, and look at you now. And doing it as a professional and living your whole life based on jiu-jitsu. It's an incredible thing.
For sure, yeah. I started when I was, like, my first jiu-jitsu class I ever did, first time I set foot in the gym was a week before my 12th birthday. And now I'm 25 years old, so I'm still really young, and I'm still kind of like one of the young up-and-comers, but I've been doing it a while, man,
Yeah, you really have, and that's it. Like, and not just a while, competing at the high level for a long time, and like Canadian jiu-jitsu has really come a long way because of people like yourself on the scene representing and like competing against the best there is what. For one thing about you is you're super competitive, and that's one thing that gets you to that level. Is that something that as a kid, like that you've always kind of like pushed yourself? Were you involved in other sports and you said, no, that's not for me, I want to be the baddest dude in the block?
Yeah, I played a lot of other sports as a kid, and my dad, he practiced martial arts extensively through his life, and he never really introduced me too much to anything super legit. I kind of would just kind of mess around with him with some different things, and he never really introduced me to anything legit until he thought I was at the age that I could take it serious, and that I was kind of at a crossroads between sports, you know what I mean? I was kind of losing interest in sports. I was losing interest in hockey at the time. I was playing AAA, and I just kind of was like, I don't want to play at this level anymore. I kind of want to, I don't want to play in the summer. I don't want to do this. I'd rather just like play hockey when the season was going on and try and do something else, And at that time when I didn't really have anything else to do, my parents weren't just going to let me sit at home and do nothing. Yeah. So that's kind of when my dad suggested that I try jiu-jitsu out. It was a martial art that he himself would have been interested in doing at the time. It just wasn't something very popular at all when he was around.
Yeah, and now look at it.
Right.
What do you think of that? Like, for a guy like being part of that explosiveness, there's lots of guys on the scene and girls, Canadian, like high level competitors, yourself, like guys like Jake, guys like Taza, the list goes on, Ethan, the list goes on and on. I'm missing lots of people, but like, what do you think about that? How far the scene has really come in such a short period of time? It must make you pretty happy with your achievements and how the work you put in.
For sure. I think, like whenever people ask me about the professionalism of jiu-jitsu now and how there's professional events and they see it advertised more and more and they see that there's a crowd, I think it's kind of cool to think that I'm kind of one of the first I'm kind of on the ground floor, one of the first generation guys that can be able to say like, yeah, I'm a professional athlete. Like I
Yeah.
compete for money, and these are the tournaments that I like to do, and so on and so forth. Even when it was, you could say that you were a professional in jiu-jitsu, but really were you? I mean, you were kind of competing for free
Mhm.
or for $1,500 in a
Yeah.
Grappler's Quest tournament or something like this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So times are a lot different now. All the guys you listed, like Ethan and Oliver, myself, Jake. I mean, we were all guys that can compete at the level
Yeah.
and legitimately say they were professional competitors. I mean, we can get paid to show up to the tournament. We can make money from selling tickets. It's a lot different than it ever was. Even like when I started, even when I made the commitment to say that I wanted to be a lifetime competitor and I wanted jiu-jitsu to be my life, it wasn't really like that. There were money tournaments and there were some brackets that paid, but there weren't
Yeah.
these professional events like we see now.
Yeah, no, that's very well said, and it's pretty awesome because myself, I looked at it and like because we'd be putting on tournaments like you say, like for $2,500, which is nothing, like it's nothing. And now you look at what like people like Mo and like Seth and all these other, I don't know who, like Three Coast Grappling, all these other people who are putting on these amazing events, like the one you're coming up and competing on. I believe that's still going on. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
Yep.
like all these events, like to have those promoters who are willing to be like put in the time and build the sport and make it look so good to give a platform, it's legit like a jiu-jitsu person's pretty much dream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how other people felt, but like when you were dreaming of being a professional athlete, you didn't really dream of showing up to like a high school gym and competing against 20 other dudes, you know?
It's
Like
so
that was
true.
never really like when I dreamed of it, it was never really that wasn't really in my dreams when I was a kid of,
Yeah.
when you everybody thinks of wanting to be a superstar, everybody thinks of wanting to be the best at something when they have a competitive nature, and you think of like walking to the ring like a boxer would, or an MMA fighter,
Hmm.
or somebody in the WWE, whatever, you know what I mean? Something like this, there's smoke, there's
Yeah,
lasers, all kinds of shit. It's like it's cool. It's just it's what it's a
that's what
professional
it should
sport. People
be.
are there to watch you, exactly. And
Yeah.
with jiu-jitsu before, it wasn't really like that. It
Yeah.
was show up here at this time, and your
Yeah.
bracket goes off. There'll be some people watching, but everybody's there because they're there to compete. Nobody's there just to like watch you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, to have something like, ADCC is cool. And, I don't know why I didn't mention Halls and Kasai, obviously. I forgot about, like, I don't know why I forgot about those guys, but they put on the most badass show on the planet. And that's what you're talking about. When you can come out and you can compete in a theater like that in front of, like, I don't know how many thousand people are there, all fans just to watch you. That's when, and you're getting paid properly to do it. Like that's when, like you say, like you're like, okay, I am all the work that I put in, bam, here it is. And then to have you win it, man, like it was really cool to watch. I thought it was a pretty cool moment for Canadian jiu-jitsu, in my opinion. So kudos to you.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
for
what's the
sure.
belt like?
I didn't get the belt. So in Kasai, you don't get the belt unless you won the tournament,
Oh, that's
like
right
that
too.
Grand Prix or whatever. But I
That's
mean, I'd
coming.
say I'm the champ because
Hmm.
I beat the champ fair and
Yeah.
square. So it is what it is, man.
That's what I thought. Well, let's segue right into your next match, I guess. So coming up at the end of the month against Mr. Gary Tonin, how's training going for that?
Training's been really good. This match been in the works for a little while.
Yeah,
Couldn't really coordinate. Um, I don't know if it was with events or with timing. A little while ago, there was some talk about it, but it was right at the height of the pandemic, so it's tough to kind of get things going. Tough to get, for events to get the kind of like money and the backing and the clearance from. I mean, a lot of hoops to kind of jump through, but this one seems like everything's on board. Everything's a go. Now, we're in the last part of
yeah,
the training for us, so it's just staying sharp and staying healthy and ready. That's all it is. This is a fight I really want. I
yeah,
think this event and this fight is one that's super exciting for the fans. I think this is one that people are going to love to see. This is kind of like a UFC fight island where people are going to like just, be dying to see something like this. I mean, three great fights coming
Hmm.
out on the main card that we've already seen. Craig and Hulk got released today.
Yeah, pretty badass
Gordon and
fight.
his kind of challenge match with Ronaldo. I mean, that one's gonna attract fans. And then Gary and I mean, two of the most exciting guys. So it's definitely one that's going to be exciting. It's definitely one that people are going to tune in to watch.
Yeah, I think there's no question about it. You know, like anybody who isn't, we're going to promote it a little bit more on our end too, like up here in Canada and on the East Coast for you too, because it's like you said, it's a hell of a match and a hell of a card so far. So we'll try to get everybody, at least our fans, to tune in. But what's something that I guess going back to, we'll segue, I guess, right back, not off the Gary fight right away, but like I want to kind of talk about how your preparation and going into your training, like when you came here for the tournament here, you went to our club and you worked with Jared a little bit, my coach, but you spent a lot of time in there kind of like just drilling and doing your own thing, and your mom was kind of there as like a really really great support, and I remember that fondly because I thought it was really great. Like my parents have been really good to me in life, and I think it was a really cool thing. She was really down to earth, and it was just like again going back to how you did it as a kid. Like she was just there as like another day, like a hockey practice, there to support you. And I thought it was a really cool to see the behind the scenes of what Dante Leone, I guess, is made of.
Yeah, I mean, my training is always on. I'm always training. I'm kind of like just one of those guys who I don't really take in seasons, and fights can come up at any time. Like we're in the height of a
Yeah,
pandemic and I'm getting offered matches. So I got to be ready and I got to be thankful for that. I mean, my fight with Johnny Tomo was right when coronavirus was like, you know, a pretty serious thing. There's no one in the
yeah,
crowd. There's nobody out there. There's no spectators allowed, anything like that. So now things are kind of easing up. So it's a little easier to get things going. But I've been getting offers for tournaments since the beginning of May.
wow,
So there's no excuse. I mean, even though if you have this kind of shelter in place order, it doesn't matter if you're a professional. You have to find a way to
yeah,
continue training and doing your thing, even if your training has to adjust. If you don't have the guys that you can train with, like you don't have the guys that you can do your regular rolling with, you have to find a way to do something. You either have to study more or drill more,
mm,
go quarantine at somebody's house that you know that has mats or that'll accept you and train there. I mean, it's not like it is for students. For us, we're professionals, so we have to have a way to keep it
yeah.
going, you know?
Yeah, no, that's very true. So is that what you've been kind of doing? Like, because I know you spend a lot of time. Originally, you're from Ontario, but you train
Yeah.
obviously in the United States. What's going on with you for that? You're living full time in the U.S. still?
Yeah, so I've been living
Yeah,
in the U.S. full time. I haven't been able to go back home due to this
yeah,
whole pandemic thing and everything about how they are at the border. I can't risk, like I said, tournaments are coming up anytime. I can't risk 2 week
yeah.
quarantine in a hotel. I can't risk 2 weeks, to go back and see family for 2 days and have to end up staying there for like 21 days or something like that.
No,
I just can't risk it right now with everything with teaching. The gyms are back open here. Everything's
nice,
kind of trying to open up here a little bit more in Ohio, so we're pretty fortunate for that.
awesome.
And with all that being said, I mean, I just can't risk kind of going around. My training has definitely opened up quite a bit since Ohio opened in the beginning of June.
Nice, good.
It was kind of like, touch and go there for a while, classes where no one could make contact, where no one could really get close to each other. But
Mm,
again, you have to adapt, you have to adjust and
yeah,
overcome with that. But through the whole pandemic, I was training still, 2 and 3 times a day and
nice.
lifting some days as well. And I have mats at the house and have people here who I train with regularly who are also instructing at the gym I'm at. So we're able to get together and keep our training up.
Yeah, that's so smart. And like you said, as a professional athlete, that's important. That's what you got to do, right? Like if you're not, someone else is, right? And I've been seeing your posts, your
Yep.
Instagram, like doing a lot of lifting. Is that something you specifically wanted to add? Like use this time to gain a little more strength in a certain area, or?
I always lifted and I always had the gym here. So like whatever I'm posting on there is just something that fans really like that content. People really like to see that.
Hmm.
I don't post too much of like my jujitsu, because everybody posts about the jujitsu and everybody posts about what they're doing and everything like that. So you
Yeah.
gotta have something that's a little different, something that people think's unique and that they like. It's something that I enjoy doing, and it's something as simple as turning the phone on for 30 seconds on for like my
Mhm.
last lift on leg day or on bench or whatever, and it's something cool that people enjoy watching.
Mhm.
So my lift has always been going on, but I had more time to kind of focus on it. Yeah, especially the months of like March and April when there was just nothing going on. There were no tournaments or anything going on.
Yeah.
It gave me a good opportunity to be able to not really worry about weight, not really worry about what my body was doing, and kind of just try and pack on some strength, pack on some muscle.
Mhm.
But, you know,
Dangerous.
nothing really too out of the ordinary. Yeah,
How do you
exactly.
pack on muscle to you, man?
Oh man, I mean, I have to it's like kind of a tricky thing, like my lifting program's kind of to maintain strength and build strength without having the volume that's so high that I put on a lot of
Mm.
mass.
Yeah.
It's hard to put on lean muscle and then try and cut back down to a weight like what I'm going to be fighting at. The fight's going to be at 170. So if during like my downtime I'm putting on lean muscle and I'm walking around at 190 or 195 and I'm
Yeah.
pretty lean, I mean it's going to be tough to get down.
Mhm.
I do have my weight cutting down pretty well, but I have to keep things in mind, and as much as I'd like to be super jacked and swole, I can't. So I kind of
Mhm.
have to keep things moderate. But during the times of the year that I can be a little bit heavier and pack on a little size, I do take advantage of it because I think it's good to do that. I think it's good to not stress your body out being so lean. I think that's
Yeah.
when injuries are kind of lingering, when your body fat's low, your sleep's running a little poor, your nutrition is you're working in a deficit, so
Mhm.
I think it's good sometimes to eat a lot, drink a lot of water, get a lot of sleep, eat some shitty food and get big, you know what I mean? That's when I feel the best as far as my joint health and muscles
Cool.
and things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I don't know a lot of science behind that stuff, and I'm not by any means like a high level athlete. But when I roll and when I train, when I have a little bit of weight on me, like that little bit of extra fat, like I'm never getting hurt. But as soon as I'm like under that weight, that threshold that I don't feel comfortable, I always get hurt. It's weird.
Hmm.
I don't know what it is.
That's just, fat guys don't get injured. That's an old saying, and that's the truth, man. I mean, that stuff protects those joints, it protects those muscles. There's a little extra, lubrication or whatever you want to call it for your body. But when I'm getting into this state where I'm getting close on weight, I'm really lean, I'm kind of dried out as far as like fat content percentage
Mhm.
in the body. This is when the training needs to be super specific and really focused on um, not fucking anything up, not
Yeah.
hurting yourself. So, I mean, this is when the injuries are most prevalent. I think at this time when everything is kind of coming down, your sleep, you might not have a good night of sleep, and you might have a couple rough days in a row, but you need to stay on your diet or you need to monitor your weight. So you might need to adjust things and get an extra workout in, get an extra sweat in. So that's the time when you're going to be the most vulnerable.
Interesting. Yeah, very well said. Do you use anything to track that? Do you use an app or anything, or just overall through the years you just kind of know your body?
Yeah, I don't really go too much about like tracking anything super specific. When you do it for a long time and you've gone through a lot of different
Mm.
ways, my belief is the best way to find what works for you is to try everything you can until you find what really works. And everybody's body is different. Everybody's going to respond differently to different methods and diets. There's people out there who like to fast and do different
Yeah.
things like this. I mix in a lot of different things that really work for me and me specifically, and I might suggest them to somebody and they might
Mm.
just not work. I'm not following the Dolce diet or anything specific. It's kind of things that I've done over the years that I see that work the best for me. So it's really about knowing your body.
Yeah. The Dante diet. We'll
That's
call
it.
it. Awesome, man. Well, again, I got to thank you for joining me. It's been a long time. It's probably been 4 or 5 years since we spoke. I know we tried to get you up for a seminar or something one time, but you've been a gem. Always really pleasant to deal with, and always really great for the Canadian scene, and representing it well and competing hard, man. So we have tons of love for you here. And just one last question for you before you go. Any advice? I ask this to all of our guests, like, for somebody, you know, aspiring grapplers, like, you know, coming from a small town, you know, in Canada, that want to get to the level of living full time in the United States, being a professional athlete, competing at the highest level, being a champion. How do they get there?
Yeah, so for anybody that doesn't know, I grew up in a town in Harrow, Ontario, southern Ontario, like southernmost point, 3,000 people as a population.
Yeah.
We don't really have a whole lot in our sports. Even in high school, we had just a few sports for males and a few sports for females. Wrestling was definitely not on there. And I don't know anybody that I went to high school with, maybe one other person that even practiced jujitsu. So,
Wow.
you know, and maybe like you could count on two hands how many people really even knew what it was. So
Yeah.
it's not really about where you come from. It's about yourself. I still don't live in the jiu-jitsu hotbed. I live in Toledo,
Yeah.
Ohio. I teach and train full time in Toledo, Ohio. It's the Midwest of the United States. It is not known as Texas, or to be on the level of Texas or Miami or San Diego as far as jiu-jitsu goes in this country. So it's not a jiu-jitsu hotbed, but I'm here, you know, and I want to be the best, and I'm taking the steps to be the best that I can be and one of the best in the world. So it all comes down to who you are. You know, I don't think that when you start jujitsu, you should start with my mindset. You know, I never had this mindset until I really made the decision that I want to do it. I started jujitsu 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week. I went a month without training, you know what I mean? Things like that. I started just
Yeah.
pretty much like everybody else did. I didn't start 6 days a week, balls to the walls, not missing a
Interesting.
day. Jiu-jitsu is
Cool.
my life, you know. It just always built on and on.
Yeah.
Have I been training 6 and 7 days a week for a long time? Yeah, a really long time. But
Hmm.
that's not really how I started. The love kind of built, you know. It's like a
Yeah.
relationship. You know, you start going all out, that intensity is going to die off, and probably going to find out you really don't like each other. So
Yeah.
start slow, let that love and that passion build, and be honest about it. If you really want to do it, then you know you have a lot of examples out there of people to follow and people that you can talk to and see, myself included, and
Yeah.
kind of learn how we do it.
Man. Mic drop, man. Super articulate, very well said, Dante. You know, I can't say much better. That was very well said. And how can anybody reach out there? How can they get in touch with you?
And I'm active on Facebook and Instagram, Dante Leon on Facebook, and at Dante Leon BJ on Instagram. I do my best to answer everybody that has a question or a comment or anything like that. I do my very best to answer everybody the best I can. So
Awesome.
I appreciate all the messages that I get. I appreciate everything. I get more messages about like lifting and eating than I do about jujitsu. So if you got a question about anything like that, trust me. I mean, I think that outweighs jujitsu questions like 3 to 1. So
Yeah.
ask whatever.
Yeah, you're always really available and very good to deal with and talk to, man. So lots of love for Nova Scotia. You got big fans out here, man. Keep representing, keep doing great things. And yeah,
Awesome.
awesome, man. Thanks for joining us.
Anybody wants to make it out this way to the States, everybody's welcome, especially the jiu-jitsu family out in Canada, man. You guys, East
Awesome.
Coast, whoever, you know, you guys are ever out this way, especially once things kind of slow down with
Yeah.
these borders being closed and the pandemic, everybody's welcome where I am.
Awesome. There you go. Get in touch with him, folks. Mr. Dante Leon. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Hey, man. I can't even speak tonight. Take care. That's what happens when you train, folks, and then you come home and you shower and you go ready to do a podcast with no break. What a great guy. I've been a big fan of Dante for a while, so really, really proud of him for what he's done for Canadian grappling and what he's done in the scene. Let's segue right into our second guest here. Another guy, a fantastic grappler, a black belt under Toronto BJJ, Mr. George Brito. So Gabe Sagman is his name. He's a bantamweight in Canada with a record of 6-4. He's competed all over the world. This guy's an absolute stud. Not only on the mats, he's really, really talented stand-up as well. He's had some really tough fights. Recently coming off a win for Elite One here on the East Coast against Morgan Rines. Looked really, really good in the fight, and super eager to get back in there as well. So let's bring him on here, training out of the House of Champions in Hamilton, Ontario, Mr. Gabe Sagman. How are you?
Hey man, I'm doing well. That's quite the introduction.
Hey, I've been practicing it all night.
Yeah.
How you been, man? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. I've been, not too bad. Obviously, training is a little more restricted right now with everything going on in the world. But I'm still doing what I can, getting my road work in. Finally, now I'm back with my team here in Stony Creek, Hamilton. So
you guys are open? You're training again?
Well, we have our opening on Monday, actually.
Nice.
So we have we're open back to the public on Monday.
Awesome.
But yeah, aside from that, we had a few guys. We have Kyle Nelson in the UFC.
Yeah.
We had a small group of guys quarantined here, just staying sharp.
Nice. Well, it's important, man, for like I just spoke to Dante about, like, same as you're professional athletes that are trying to get to a certain level in this sport. You can't just stop. It doesn't work that way, So it's nice to hear that you've been still training and keeping busy, man. So are you at the club right now or at home?
Well, I'm home. I did a little training earlier. But
nice. Cool. I like the banner.
Yeah. I figured it was a good time to get this in here.
There you go.
I was gonna have this for my last fight, actually. That one fell through, unfortunately. But
who was that for?
That was gonna be for BTC. I was supposed to fight for their flyweight title.
Dave Henry?
I was gonna fight James Clark.
Oh, James Clark. That's where he beat Dave.
Yeah, he got like an injury last minute. It was like the Friday, like basically like a week before weigh-ins.
Oh no, man,
yeah, we tried to find a replacement, but just that amount of time, it's real tough.
This game is so hard. What do you like? I spoke to you about that before. You're a guy I actually, when I used to do sub-series events, I've actually known about you for a while because Thomas Beach used to tell me all about you back in the day.
Oh, right on, yeah.
He was like, "This kid is a badass, man. This kid is really, really." And your brother as well. I believe you have a brother.
Yeah, my brother Ruben Sagman. Yeah, we came up together.
Yeah.
Like when I started my jiu-jitsu journey. Well, basically our whole lives we've been training martial arts. So.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. So that's how I knew. And he messaged. He's like, "This kid, man, he's going to be a champ. He's going to be the champ. He's really, really great. You got to go on a show." But at that point, I wasn't really doing them anymore. But so, like, I got to ask you, like, why transition in MMA from jiu-jitsu? Like, what you just did? You kind of wanted to challenge yourself, or was it something that was always the plan?
Yeah, I think it's kind of something that was always the plan. Like I started with karate when I was 8 years old. I got my black belt in that. And then around that time, I started noticing the UFC, reading up on jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And, I'm like a small, skinny kid at the time. I'm more kind of just interested in self-defense and gaining the confidence, knowing that I have the ability to defend myself.
Yeah.
So when I read about, grappling and what if somebody takes you down, that's like a whole other world. So I was kind of kicking myself like, damn, I've been wasting all my time doing this karate. And don't get me wrong, karate is a great,
sure.
It's a great background. I think especially for kids, like for myself, it was good to develop just the discipline and the coordination and everything to learn any martial art after that. But
everything has its benefits, its pros and cons for sure.
Yeah. So when I started at Toronto BJJ, like they, it's a lot different now. Right now, they're more pretty much just purely jiu-jitsu gym. They offer jiu-jitsu for everyone, like kids, families. When I first started there, it was a lot more rugged. We had.
Was that the gym on Bloor? Was it Bloor?
Yeah, right by Bloor
College.
University.
Yeah, that's right. Was that place like Sneaky Pete's up that way? What the hell, Sneaky Pete's? What am I talking about? What's that bar? What's that bar on the corner?
I think you're thinking of Sneaky D's.
Sneaky D's, yeah.
But they're at College and Bathurst. They're a little further away.
A little further. Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
But anyways, so they had they had everything. We had Ainsley Robinson was teaching there at the time, Olympic,
Yep.
Canadian Olympian. We had Muay Thai. Like we had all this stuff. But I always had that competitive side in me. So it's kind of hard, when you're like a little teenager. It's kind of hard to just jump straight into MMA. So
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu is. I kind of just
The best way.
fell in love with jiu-jitsu. Kind of lean more towards that. And I think at the time it made more sense to really just build my base up in the one discipline, get really good at that.
Yeah.
And then that kind of gave me my foundation for MMA.
It's funny when you say that because you look at you fight and like your striking is really crisp. It's really good, like really good. And like I always am amazed at how like guys who are so good on the ground can like when I guess that's becoming a complete athlete, when you can put it all together and you look good doing it anywhere. It's this sport you can tell someone who's shitty and not like pretty easily, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Crew Lin, House of Champions. Like he's trained some of the best in MMA, kickboxing, a lot of champions. So you can't go wrong training with him. But I always did like a little bit of cross training here and there, like a little bit of Muay Thai.
Nice.
But it's just it's just the same. It's the same mentality you bring to any skill set. Like I was competing at a high level in jiu-jitsu, working my way up the ranks. I was competing on the world stage. I won a couple world nogi titles. Won some of the bigger IBJJFs.
Yeah.
So you can apply that same dedication to anything. You can get good at it.
Yeah, that's very true. I guess Did you notice a difference between the jiu-jitsu competition and then like stepping in the cage? Like, there's got to be a little bit like I'm terrible at jiu-jitsu competition. I'm not a guy that I really struggle with it. I couldn't imagine making that walk. Like,
yeah, I mean it's MMA obviously it's a lot more individual. So everything is just towards this one moment. Like all eyes are on you, and it's just the one fight. You just have to be sharp for that one fight versus like wrestling or jiu-jitsu. You got to think, depending on how big your bracket is, you're in for a number of matches. So you might have to think about pacing yourself a little bit more. But it's just a different environment. Like it's still, it can still be a lot of pressure for jiu-jitsu, like competing at the Walter Pyramid in California. That was a big venue, big crowd, a lot of people there. I wasn't the only guy competing. Like when I had my matches, there's other matches going on, but I still have my coach screaming at me. I still have like a lot of eyes on me. It's still a lot there. So I feel like that was a big advantage. Just competing at a high level in another sport, and then from there going on to MMA, it's not quite as daunting when you have those lights on you and knowing that people are watching. It's kind of like I've been there before in a sense.
A little bit, you can, I guess, channel those emotions a little bit easier. And I guess the more you do it, the better it becomes, right? Like anything, the more you push. But for me, it doesn't. It seems to get goddamn worse for me. I don't know. I hate it myself. But you got to be willing to push through it. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, like fighting in Romania. Like I've been over to Eastern Europe, and it's such an amazing, beautiful part of the world. Is like, why Romania? Was that an agent thing, or just an opening, or is it like, what's the deal?
That was mostly just my management. Crew Lin, being of Romanian descent, he was born there. He has connections there. His brother actually works as a referee as well.
Oh, cool! Nice.
So
yeah, he's connected. He's a connected man. That's cool. Yeah, they put on a hell of a show. What a beautiful production.
Oh yeah, their production is right up there with some of the top promotions in my opinion.
No question. I've watched like a like beautiful show. There's like even like shows like KSW. There's some really high level shows around the world.
Yeah,
It's the sport is definitely coming along for sure. Like all the local promotions now at least are like slowly getting to like maybe that level. Do you know where it used to be just like fighting in a like shitty old rink?
yeah. I know what you're saying. Well, there with the European culture, they make a pretty big show out of it. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
pretty cool.
they do. And what are the fans like?
They're cool, man. They're really appreciative. Like
Nice.
they're real friendly. Like some places they might boo you if you're a foreigner.
Hmm.
If you're against the hometown guy. But I think they're very appreciative of martial arts and the fighting culture there. So I feel despite being far away from home overseas, I feel very at home fighting there.
Nice. Cool. That's good to hear. They don't spit on you and throw garbage at you like other countries.
No,
I don't know if that's true
not,
or not, but
not
Connor,
like Brazil from what I hear.
man, it's crazy. Craziness. What do you think of the whole UFC situation? The whole Fight Island. Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen and what I can tell, they're doing a fantastic job.
Agreed.
Just with the amount of testing and everything, it's awesome because obviously us as athletes, we want to keep this dream alive. We want to keep going and climbing the ranks and everything. So
Yeah,
it's great.
I think it is great as well because it not only gives you guys motivation, it gives promotions motivation too. Because they're like, well, if they're coming back, like they're not giving up. Not that it's a UFC, no one's, but it just they're the leader in our end of the market, I guess, in Western. So it's you look at it and you're like, if they're gonna still push, it just kind of gives you that motivation. If they kind of were on the shelf. And now you see Bellator coming back and ONE FC and
Yeah.
everybody doing shows. And like you see people doing shows. Like I saw someone last week doing a show in Florida. There was like 150, 200 people there, like right in the middle of the hotbed of Florida. They don't give a shit. Half the people
Man.
had no masks on. They didn't give a shit at all. And that's like, well, good for them, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's it's a tricky thing because obviously there's the health and safety aspect,
Yeah.
but then depending on who you are, everyone's affected by this differently. So
Yeah, that's it.
people want to be able to support themselves and put money on the table and
Well,
feed
this
their
is the
families.
thing, like, like you see people like we can't run our business because there's people like a commission, understandably, right? Like that's how it works. Like it's a regulated government entity, so there's nothing you can do about it. But it's weird because like you see other things like random, like we're doing really good out here in the East Coast, and I have to say the government and the healthcare has done really well. Everybody's been
Yeah.
listening as a group in the community out here. We have a nice Atlantic bubble, and everybody seems to be following the rules. And we haven't had a case, like we might have one case in the last 2 weeks, I think, maybe, or something like that. So we're really doing well. But you also see random like kids baseball games going on, and I'm like, what? Hold on here. Like what?
Yeah, I think I saw something like that the other day at a park not too far away.
Yeah.
But,
So is
yeah.
it like, and I'm not a hater by any means. I'm like, go hit that home run, right? But I'm just jealous.
I mean, yeah, I feel like majority of people like we really don't have a clue. There's a lot of information out there, but
Yeah.
there's still so much we don't know about how you're going to contract this. And
Yeah.
I mean with baseball and stuff like that, I think at least you're outside, so there's more air
Yeah.
circulation.
And you're not sweating it on one another, I guess, is a help.
Yeah.
But still, I want to get events going, Gabe. We got to get you guys fighting again, man.
Oh yeah.
But like
I'll be ready. You know me.
we put our proposal, like John, my business partner, worked really hard on it, and we put it in, and it's a really great proposal. So we're shut down now until 2021, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, anyway, one question I did want to ask you, it's about, so you lost to Jamie, and in my opinion, at the time, that was kind of like the bantamweight fight in the country. Obviously, Chad's out there on the West Coast too, and there's a couple other guys in the mix. But then you came back and you won your next fight, I believe. So what was the whole like, was there something that kind of changed there? Because I know that was a really tough fight for you against Jamie, mentally and physically. Did you take anything out of that fight moving forward?
I mean, yeah, yes and no. Like he's, Jamie's a tough kid. He's a
Yeah.
grinder. I don't want to take anything away from him, but I did get sick not too long after the fight. Actually, like that same night, I was
Oh,
waking up at like 3:30. I had like some abdominal pains. I was kind of like burping up, just kind of gassy. And then
yeah.
like even before the fight, I was in the back warming up, just doing like kind of like a light roll, like a flow roll with
Yeah.
Julian Arosa. He was there helping one of his guys, and then like even just after like a short roll, like I felt like I was kind of gassed, like I wasn't fully there, like I felt off, but
Yeah.
maybe like the onset of whatever I caught, it was kind of too early for me to really tell. And obviously, when
Yeah.
you're in that state that your coach is there. Like my coach pushes me. He's holding pads. He's helping get me in the zone. Like I made all that sacrifice. I was in Vegas for that fight at the PI. I put a lot of work in. So you
Yeah.
never want to you never want to let that all go to waste. But I definitely felt that affected me in that fight. And
Most likely did.
again, I'm not saying the result might have been the same, but I think it would have been a different fight if I was healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, it was a good experience going to 3 rounds, and just knowing how highly regarded Jamie is. That's
Yeah.
that's something that I can be proud of, I guess.
Sure. I also think that. I think it was a really great fight between two really high level athletes, and win or lose, you should hold your head high, in my opinion. Like I think that it's probably got to be the hottest, probably division in the country, bantamweight. It's a lot of really.
Yeah,
There's a lot of really good divisions, but bantamweight is a lot of guys.
yeah, it's stacked for sure.
It really is. We were trying to get that bantamweight tournament together there, so I don't know. That's our plan in the future. We're trying to get
Oh yeah,
maybe some
yeah,
tournaments.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. Like, I'm always open to 135. I was pushing for that 125, so we
How'd you
might,
feel?
so crazy thing, like I actually felt really good getting my weight down for 125. Like I was towards the end of my last training camp, I was waking up at like 134,
Holy smoke!
135. I did a few body comp tests
Yeah.
just to see where like where I was drawing from losing the weight, and I went down. I think I was at like 11.5 body fat, like somewhere around there, 11.4, down to like 7.3. So, and that was in the span of a month, like from when I fought Morgan to like a month later.
Holy smokes!
So
So it's good.
after that fight, I was just couple days, like the Sunday, whatever, I had the flight back Sunday, Monday, right back to the grind, right back in the fight camp.
Wow, nice. Well, that's good
So
to hear. That's it's because as you get older, a lot of guys go older, right? Not the opposite. So that's good to hear, man. Well, before I let you go here, first of all, I want to thank you for joining us. You and I have been chatting for a while, and you're really supportive. One thing I thought was really cool of you was like we are about to bang off our first event. And this is stuff that I remember, very fondly because, as promoters, you deal with a lot of bullshit, as you know,
yeah,
and you sent us a really nice message like the day of the fight or the day before, and just like, hey man, have a good event. And, a couple days before, I think it was, and it was just a cool thing. I thought that, you didn't have to do it. And I thought it was just something simple. You're always just like, hey, I'm always ready. Like just kind of being supportive. And it's just a genuine thing, man. So I want to thank you for that. And
yeah, of course, man. Like I can feel the vibe from you guys. Like I feel like you're in this sport for the right reasons. You want to create a platform to help us all thrive and put on these great shows for the love of the sport. So, anything that's just going to help the sport grow, and especially locally, it's a lot tougher for us. Starting out, if you haven't made it to one of those bigger promotions yet, those are the guys that need it the most. So I'm always there for the support.
Awesome. Well, it means a lot. It's not forgotten. And if everybody supported like that, everybody's day would be a lot better. So keep being a gem, man. Keep being you. And hopefully we'll get you on a card soon. Where can everybody find you online?
My handle is right there. I don't know if you can see it, but basically just Samurai Sagman. You can find me on most stuff. I'm mostly on Instagram. I got my athlete page on Facebook, Gabe Samurai Sagman.
Okay.
Twitter I'm not using too much right now, but
don't blame me.
Got that too. So
it's fucking garbage. No wonder.
Yeah, you guys can follow me there.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure it won't be the last time we get you on here. We'll chat soon. There you have it, folks. Gabe Sagman. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Great guy. Another fantastic interview. Again, this episode is brought to you by our sponsors at BC Kimonos. Check them out online, bckimonos.ca. Great service, local products made in British Columbia by my man, Brett Cooper. Makes them himself, sews them all together. I promise. All right, let's get on to our final interview here. I don't know if we'll save the best for last. I don't want to offend the other two guys, but Mr. Michael Hill, this is a guy, he's an Ultimate Fighter veteran. He's a staple name in Canadian MMA scene. He's been at this game a hell of a long time with a record of 11-4-1. He's fought the who's who in Canada and beyond. They call him the mercenary. I want to chat to him about that. And he's based out of Powell River, British Columbia is where he's originally from, and trains at Toledo MMA with the crew there. So let's bring him on again. One of the men he's like one of the faces of Canadian MMA. He's been at this a long time. So Mr. Michael Hill, let's bring him on. How are you, sir?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Awesome, man. Good. Thanks for joining us. How you been?
I like that intro, man. Thank you.
Cool. That's true, man. It's true. I've been following you for a hell of a long time, dude. How you been training? You've been keeping up with everything?
Yeah, man. Doing the best I can, right, with what's going on in the world. But very grateful every day for where I live here in Powell River, and BC, and especially, right. We're not locked up in our hotel rooms, and we're allowed out, and I got my family around me. Everyone's healthy, everyone's safe, so can't ask for much better than that.
No, very well said. I love your Instagram and your social media. Like, you're always out. That's the thing about all you guys out in BC. Everybody's so active and doing so many things. Like, you're out mountain climbing or rappelling or fishing or whatever it is. I love that, and I love following your feed because you're always kind of out doing beautiful things like that. What'd you do today?
What did I do today? It was a bit of a easier day, man. Today I've been part of a project for since this all happened. I met a guy. I started training a guy, and he's part of a recovery house.
Oh, cool.
Right, so it's a free recovery house, and so men from all over BC and Canada can kind of come here for free, and they can get clean. And so I've kind of been training the boys, training them boxing, taking them out on some adventures, and just trying to get to know them a little bit better. And so Wednesdays is all for that. I do that once a week. And so Wednesdays is for those guys.
Very cool.
And then before this, I had to go buy my daughter a fish before she gets home tomorrow because I ended up killing her fish the other day. So I had to go buy another fish so she doesn't notice.
Yeah, that's for the first part of that story. That's a really great thing for you to do. I think, and I think a lot of fighters could actually do that. It's a really interesting thing that you kind of said there, because a lot of fighters could give back in that way. I think too. Because people, whether you think, some people, they may not think it or not, but people look up to fighters, man. People look up to you in the community, and especially guys like you have been fighting at the high level for a long time.
Yeah, that's a big part of why I do what I do, man. It's a lot of people just think we go in there and we're violent and we just like to fight inside a cage. And but over at least like the last 5 years, it's been really, really opened my vision to what I'm actually doing for people, all over the world. I mean, after getting off the Ultimate Fighter and from then on, like it's, just my journey as a fighter, my journey as a father, my journey through injuries. You really, if you put yourself out there and you talk about your story, it doesn't matter if you're saving one person's life or 10 people's lives, right? It's really opened your eyes and you want to keep going because of that. There's nothing else like fighting. I mean, each fight camp's like a different chapter, right? And you're always learning new things about yourself, and you're always helping someone else out during that chapter. And then, people get to follow you and watch you fight and compete and see all your hard work and join in on the victory. Or if you lose, then, they get to watch you pick up and see where you go from there, right?
Motivate yourself and bring yourself back to that level again, right? And did that all change for you? Like you said, the last 5 years. I know you're a father of like four beautiful kids. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, yeah, just one. Those other 3 rascals are my nephews and my niece.
Oh, geez, I'm definitely wrong then. I'm adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah, no, Uncle Mike, man, Uncle Mike.
Nice. Well, yeah.
Everyone thinks that, man. It's not a bad thing. It's all good.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Beautiful
those
kids.
are my little nephews and my niece. Yeah, dude, very blessed, and I'm just so thankful every day. It's one of the best feelings in the world, man. Being a dad and being an uncle, and of course, I get to look at these little guys all the time. Just that's my world. That's my movie, right? So, I do it for them now.
Yeah, that's inspiring. I like hearing that. Very cool. I guess we'll talk a little bit of your fight life too. Like going back to the Ultimate Fighter, what changed for you coming out of that experience? Like you said, you can now your platform, you can use it for a lot of good things. Is that the biggest thing you kind of took out of it, or I guess the whole fight training? Was there a lot of things that you picked up in that regard, or?
I think I got you're kind of breaking up a bit, but the Ultimate Fighter, what I took from it, man, the biggest thing I took from it was just mentality, just a stronger fighter mentality, and you need that when you get in the big show. So, obviously, I was pretty young in the show. I think I was one of the first fighters that had ever made it to the show in such a short amount of time with the experience I had.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the mental strength to go through that show and succeed. So I just hadn't gone through that. And I feel like there's different steps to success in life. And so the Ultimate Fighter was a huge one because at the end of the last show, Dana White circled all us up and he said, there's 16 of you guys here, right? Only 1 or 2 of you are going to make the UFC from the show. 10 of you are never going to fight again.
Whew.
3 of you will social media and be a different person, and 1 of you will change your fucking name. And
wow.
I looked at him and I was like, holy fuck. Yeah. And I got off that show and it was you're on TV now. You're a celebrity for a year, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And I wasn't too happy with my performances. And just the way I kind of acted on the show as well.
Yeah.
During that Let Me Bang, that famous Let Me Bang video.
Yeah.
It was just tough mentally because I wanted to do so well. Like that's what I worked my ass off for my whole entire life when people told me I couldn't do it. And I just wish I did a little bit better. But if I went in the UFC then, I probably wouldn't be fighting today.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't ready for the UFC. The UFC is a fucking it's a who's who, man. It's a nightmare. It's hell out there. Like, all the best fighters in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a monster, man. And you see all these guys, getting these records like 7-0, 8-0, and then Dana White, the UFC, calls them up, and they haven't traveled to far distances.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had any experience fighting tough guys. They haven't had any experience fighting in big crowds. They're not used to any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They haven't been through tough times, or very few tough times. I mean, I can't speak for anyone. Everyone goes through tough times, right? Everyone has their own story.
But if you're 7-0,
but
it's
get to that.
Like, if you're 7-0, you're not going through the same adversity as a guy who's coming off a couple losses and then comes back with a couple wins, right?
And that's what I mean, man. Like, and that's what I said about, there's different steps to success, right? So, failure is a step to success, right? Falling down is a step to success. Losing is a step to success, right? But quitting isn't, man. Quitting, you once you quit, you're done. And, there's a bunch of Canadian fighters or, fighters that I follow that you don't see them anymore once they lose. Or once they lose 2, they get kicked out of the UFC. And then they're done, right? Their time's done.
Why do you think that
guys,
is?
man? I mean, I mean, everyone's different, man. It's fighting is fucking. It's literally, dude. It's the toughest thing in the world next to war. Like on the brain, on the mental side of it, man. You're training for 8 weeks against someone who's training anywhere else, trying to fucking kill you or take your head off.
Yeah, nuts.
Right, and that's why I listened to your podcast the other day and you were talking about there's a bunch of gym warriors, and there's the guys on fight week that have the chicken flu. They catch the chicken flu, and fight week as a promoter, how many people back out.
Yeah, lots.
Right? And then there's the guys that they make the walk, but they're not the same fighter when they fight, right? They can't handle the pressure. They can't handle losing. That's all they have, right? Is that
it's incredible to watch a guy do that, like an athlete like yourself, to go there and live in the moment, like to be like happy in the moment. If like, here, I'm finally, the training camp's done. Now I get to punch this guy's face or go to work, and that's, for me as a promoter and as a fan more so, that's what I want. Like you said, all these, man, I don't even respond to half the messages anymore. I'm learning. Like, I used to respond to a lot of these messages, but now I'm just like, I can't. You got to register.
Yeah, it's got to be tough being a promoter, man. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I always tell myself one day I want to put on fights or something, but you know what? I sometimes think too, even a smaller show with, like, I've been to so many gyms in BC, and I'm well respected everywhere I train. I've trained, many places around the world, and I think I could pull together a good handful of fighters.
Yeah.
That would always step up to fight. I don't know about their opponents, but I got a grip of like 10 BC fighters that I would love to help pave their way to the big show, and I know they'd show up to fight and get them good fights, right? But it's a lot of work, man. I know just from being part of XFFC with Darren Cliff and the stuff he goes through as well, right? I'm so close with that guy and his promotion, fighting for him so many times.
Yeah, he's a good guy for Canadian martial arts. He's done a lot for fight events. Like, I've been following him again for a long time too. Gives a lot back to the community, it seems. So That's we need more people like that guy for sure.
Yeah, and I just wish all you guys would just be happy for each other as well, right? Like
That's what it should be like.
It's you got two shows, whether it's Calgary and Red Deer or Vancouver. There's two promotions in Vancouver with BFL and Rise. And it's like, why don't you guys just get along and fucking help the fighters? It's not about you, it's not for you guys.
Yeah.
Right. If you want the fighters to do well, then put them together and help each other out. Right. But
yeah, you should be scheduling your events. No, you're right. You're right. Like but it's all ego bullshit and it's foolishness. It's foolishness. You're not the one fighting. You shouldn't even be in the damn picture. Like you go behind the scenes. Like you're the promoter. And like if you're not part of it, like at the end of the day, if they're like I consider it like a movie. Like if you're going to watch a movie, or like, do you want to see the star or do you want to see the producer? Who the fuck wants to see the producer? Yeah. They want to see the fighter, man. That's who they want to see. And if everybody, and I think people are working together. There are promoters, but like you said, it's gotta get better where people should be supporting one another. Not just that, not just in fighting too, but like if you have like buddies, don't stop shitting on your buddy. Be nice to your buddy and be like, oh, he made a bad choice today, but that's my friend. Like he's a good man. Like I know that person well. Like stand up for the right thing. And I find people don't do that anymore, man. Like stand up for the right thing. Sorry about ranting.
No, it's all good, man. There's a lot of fake shit in the world, man. A lot of fake people, right? You got everything's, you got fake. Everything's fake, man. It's hard to come by a real person.
Yeah, it is like living in a cartoon.
It's real hard to come by a real person, man.
Yeah. I got to say, I look pretty not tanned on this podcast compared to you, by the way. Yeah, look at you, man. Look at you, buddy.
I'm ready to fucking fight, man. Put it that way. I'm ready to fucking fight, man. I've been working fucking so hard.
Yeah, you've sent me a few messages. I like it.
Fucked me over.
Yeah. And were there fights lined up for you?
Well, I was off a year for a big injury, right?
Yeah.
So, I didn't even know if I'd ever fight again, and but obviously I had that strong mental, the strong mindset, and I just kept going, and I just kept going, dude. I didn't give a fuck who said I couldn't do it anymore, who told me to stop. I have a good team of doctors around me that support me, and a solid group of friends that
believe in you,
told me to keep going too, and
that's nice.
It's weird, man. It's like these little kids you have. They're like little aliens. They know. It's like they know something we don't know. And it's just talking to those little guys, and those guys. It's just weird conversations, man. And I tell this all the time to people. It's like if you're healthy and you do the work, you exercise, you meditate, you do yoga, you eat clean, you help people, all that kind of stuff. You're clear-minded.
Yeah.
And you get to see so much light and energy, and you're present in the moment.
Yeah.
And you see these signs and the clear which way to go. And if you're unhealthy and you're fucking staring at your phone all day and you're fucking into the drama and you don't hang out with your family and you're a bad person and you fucking eat junk food and you don't exercise, well, you're not going to be healthy, and you're not going to see what life has to offer. And you're just going to sink and sink and sink down to, whatever it is, whether it's not chasing your goals and dreams, whether it's mental health problems, all that kind of stuff, man. And I'm just so happy, man, that I found martial arts, and I'm a healthy person, and I'm clear-minded, and I get to see these pathways that take me to great places, man, and that level me up. And as a father, as an uncle, as a brother, as a son, as a partner, as a fighter, as a martial artist, as a role model, a coach, a trainer.
Keeps you real.
It's it's good, man. It's really, really good, dude.
Yeah, I love hearing that, because if everybody was that happy, like, the world would be a fantastic place. And a lot of that is simple, like you said, eat healthy, exercise, be a good person, do all these things that, like, you're not everybody, but the majority of people on this planet were raised to do. But why are they so hard to do? Like, why can't everybody be like you? What do you think about that? I think it's a lot of that phone bullshit, like you say, man.
Yeah, it's definitely, the phone has a big part of it, man. It's it's like we're the phone turned us into a fucking robot.
Yeah, big time.
But like I said, man, I'm here to help people, and I think people need to, share their story more and be more open and not closed off. And I as a young kid, I mean, as just a kid and a young adult, but when you hold on to stuff and you bottle it up, right, and you don't let it out, or you're scared to let it out, then you find wrong ways to, cure it, or, save yourself from that pain. And, man, it's, yeah, you just got to, talk, and just communicate, man. Communication is so big, and we lack that now. And it's hard. I mean, you can barely look at people in the eyes anymore. Anybody can barely look at you in the eyes and have conversation with you, right? They're so used to just doing.
Yeah, you're very true. That's another reason why I like doing this. Every day I get to chat with people like you who motivate me in this sport, right? Like, and you can make that eye contact. And it's not as, it's not face to face, but it's still like, how many times do you send a quick text message or Instagram message back and forth and never talk to that person? And it's like you said, man, we're turning into goddamn zombies and missing that, like, hey, how are you today? Like, and now this COVID even's made it worse. Like, hey, how you doing? They're like, oh, like, hold on, settle down here. Like, like I'm
it's so funny, man.
Like, I'm just getting a loaf of bread. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's totally. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. The first one, when you got to first go out and go to the grocery store and stuff, I found that pretty funny. But again, man, to each their own. Everyone has their own opinions and own way to do things. And well, that's a big part of the reason why I wanted to start my own podcast too. I mean, just because I was lacking conversations, man, with people, and lacking that communication skill, and like being a coach and being a trainer, and gonna go fight again and doing interviews and stuff like that. If you lose it, you're not as good as vocalizing what you learn or what you download if you're reading a book or you listen to a podcast and stuff. If I don't talk about it with someone, right, I can write it down and I can type it up and I can Instagram post, but if I don't communicate with someone, then I turn into a bad communicator.
Yeah, vocal practice, like that.
Right, so
memory.
It's totally, man. Just like anything, right? You gotta practice at it, man, and you got to get it. And I instantly thought, I'm like, fuck, podcasting will do that for me, right? So
how'd it go?
Again, man, like I reached out to you for the podcast, and I still, it's just, I can't pull the trigger. I just feel I hesitate, and then it's just another thing to do. Like, I'm so fucking busy.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you let me know,
busy, man.
Anything I can do to help you out, let me know, by all means.
Yeah. Well, how come you didn't tell me about this StreamYard shit, man? This StreamYard's pretty cool.
This was just a new one we got probably maybe like a month ago or 5 weeks.
Yeah, sure.
We were using Be Live, the other one there for a while, but we were kind of questioning too, like once
it's
every.
Sorry. It's like fishing, man. No secret spot.
Well, it's funny when you message me
right?
about
Or what
that.
lures they're using or anything, right? Oh, how'd you catch that fish? Where'd you catch it?
That's what I mean. When you messaged me asking about it, and I was telling you how to do it on Instagram Live, and you're like, "How come no one else would tell me this?" I'm like, "I don't know. This is like, this is everyone should be helping you do this." But yeah, like, if you ever wanted to do one, you could host one or something on this podcast, and we could do it. I could sit in the background or whatever, and you could host it. We're all about that kind of stuff, man. Like you said, it's just about talking and communicating with other people and just sharing stories. And I have no ego. I don't give I have buddies of mine that make fun of me. Like they're like, "Oh, you got 16 views tonight." I don't give two shits. I really don't care who it impresses, right? It's for me, it's about my own self.
Fucking rights, man. I love that, dude. Yeah, fuck those people, man. Fuck those friends. You know what? Like, I get it. They're your friends, but like, why would they even say something like that, man? Like,
dude.
you got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
and,
it's weird. Jealousy.
Yeah, man. It is. And what are people liking on fucking social media anyways these days?
Yeah, I know.
A bunch of fucking, bunch of fake shit again, right? A lot of filters and fucking, a lot of
ass pics,
big butts, big boobs, and fucking dude. Like,
it's
what the
stupid.
fuck?
That's the thing.
Off.
Like, someone talked to me.
Right?
We were talking today about another fighter. He's like, I can't believe. Like, I figured your podcast was really going to take off and be huge. Like, I'm like, well, it's just new, and we're not doing it for that reason. We're doing it for this reason, but. More importantly, it's like he's like, well, there's so much bullshit online that's negative, and here you are putting out great content that's with all these really positive, good people, and no one cares. And I'm like, well, that's the world we live in, man. People care more about Melissa over there who's holding a cooler at the beach or whatever.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and you know what, too, man? I think it's our age group as well.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you think about how many friends your age fucking are on social media, 30 plus, 25 plus, not many people, right? It's like 22 and under. Yeah. It's all over fucking social media, right? It's their fucking life. They don't even talk to each other in the hallways. They're on their fucking phones.
What are you doing over there?
What are you doing? Yeah. So unless a 22-year-old knows about your podcast or, something like that, it's going to take a little bit longer to generate popularity, right?
You're telling me I got to listen for an hour to that guy? No, not a chance. No, I got shit to.
Hey, dude, man, podcasting, fucking, I love it, man. I listen to some of the fighters you go, and podcasts. Man, they saved my life, man, and they helped me grow as a again, as a father. An uncle, a son, a fighter, martial artist. All the podcasts I listen to, man, it teaches me shit every day. And I wish I had this shit when I was in fucking school, man.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, at the end of the day, we can all learn from one another. We're all just people, right? Like, it's at the end. I always laugh too. Like, I always struggle with that in school. I'm like, hold on, so that guy's reading the book to me, like that. What? Why don't I just read the book? But like, everybody, you can learn from so many different things, like a teacher, like online, like there's so many methods to learn these days. It's absolutely bananas, man. But we could probably talk about this all.
Yeah. And what the fuck? Yeah. I was just going to say, what do you like, it's very few percentage of people that actually use what they learned in school, man.
Yeah.
I still think about it. I can't believe I had to fucking at one time ask a teacher if I had to go to the bathroom, and she or he could tell me no.
I know.
What the fuck you talking about? I can't go to the bathroom right now.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Isn't that hard to believe back then that we had to ask to use the bathroom? No, sit down. Hold on. What? Why don't I just go piss right in the corner?
Yeah.
Really? I'm gonna go piss.
Yeah. I think I actually did that one time.
Nice. Good for you. Good for you. I love teachers, but still, if they're going to be a dick and not let me use the bathroom, but back then you're scared to death. You're like, oh, don't do anything. But yeah, nowadays things have changed, man. But before I let you go here, I got to ask you a couple quick questions about, being a father now. What's kind of the biggest thing that's, you wake up and you're like, what's something that really, obviously your family motivates you, but like, what's the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Just somebody that had goals and had a dream, and
there we are.
Chased it, man, no matter what.
We lost you there. You have to repeat that. I'm sorry, we lost you the first part, Mike.
Yeah, just that I had a dream and a goal, man. I didn't let anybody get in my way. I didn't let anything get in my way, and that with hard work and dedication and commitment, and you can do whatever you want. Don't let anybody stand in the way. Don't let anything get in the way. You know, you're going to face a little bit of adversity. And, you know, and tell all my little kids, man, my daughter and my nephews and my niece that I have your fucking back no matter what. There's no judgment, Uncle Mike and Dad. There's never going to be any judgment. You know, too many people, too many family members, too many friends, teachers, all that shit. It was always judgment, right? There's no judgment here. It doesn't matter what you do. You're going to make mistakes. That's how we grow.
Yeah.
That's how we learn. That's how we get better. I'm here. I got back, and hopefully the pathway that I've chosen to take will, you know, my hero's journey will get to be shown and, you know, talked about and provided so that they can come to me and say, hey, you know, how do I get here? How do we do this? And how do we do that? Or what can I do when this happens? And, you know, whether it's, yeah, man, whether it's anything, I mean, I've been through the fucking gutter, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm here right now with, you know, with everything I want in life, man. It's wicked, dude. And that's what it is. You can't get time back, and family's the most important thing in the world, man. So
no question. Very well said. I love that. I couldn't.
Do you?
And I have no kids myself, but I have a wonderful family who have been really supportive of me. I've went through some really tough times in my life and still struggle with some mental health issues today. And I'm not scared to talk about it. And my mother and father and brothers have been, like, specifically my mother and father have been incredibly supportive, and my girlfriend as well. Like, you know, it's important to have people around you because, man, not everybody's perfect. Everybody has a story to tell, and everybody has their ups and downs. So keep telling your story, dude. Keep being a positive role model, and hopefully this isn't the last time we'll have you in the podcast, and hopefully we can get you a fight in the near future too.
Yeah, Christian Soulboy, if you're out there and you want to fucking fight, I'm right here, buddy. Let's go.
There you go. There's the call out. There's a guy, I know you guys have been kind of chirping at one another online back and forth, so that might be a fight to make for sure.
He don't want this smoke, man. Nobody wants this smoke. And if they do, then fucking get a hold of FLA or get a hold of any Canadian promotion. Let's fucking do this. Sign the line.
I like it. Perfect. Middleweight tournament. Here we go. For the belt. Mr. Michael Hill, thanks for joining us, buddy. Keep well, and lots of love to you and the family.
Too, eh? Man, one love, bud.
See you, buddy.
Peace.
Awesome. Great guy. Fantastic guy. Mike Hill, there he is. The man himself, man, a guy who's ton of experience on the East Coast or on the Canadian scene. There's an interesting call out between him and Mr. Savoie there. So I know they've been chirping a little bit back and forth online. So he got it in there at the end. So Christian, if you're listening, there's a good fight for you guys. Anyway, folks, again, this fight and this episode, I don't know what the hell, training before this, really rusty on the podcast this week. My apologies, folks. Anyone listening, again, thanks to our sponsors, BC Kimonos. Check them out online at bckimonos.ca. Tell them Fight League Atlantic sent you, and you'll get 0% off, but you'll get fantastic service from Mr. Brett Cooper. Always supporting the East Coast since 2014. All right, folks, lots of love to you. Fantastic episode. We will be back tomorrow night, I believe, with another episode with... We're going to try to get this one chunk challenge underway. So fingers crossed here with our friends at over here, Maritime Madness. Lots of love to my parents, Thanks for everything you do. Lots of love to Chelsea. If you can be anything in this world, folks, be kind. We'll see you tomorrow. Make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and thanks for tuning in. As well, check out our apparel page and shop online. We'll see you tomorrow.